Hey everybody, Garrett here. Really appreciate y'all coming and joining me today. We have another fun office hours for Grade Us, our second one. Probably be a little bit shorter, but wanted to go through everything that we found was going to be valuable for customers, anyone looking and interested in Grade Us. Um, Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our agenda and then I will take some questions at the end. So thank you everyone for joining me. So let's dive right in. This month, basically what we're going over is our listings monitoring. We have a few updates on that feature that was released last month. We have a brand new support onboarding video for both for new customers and, it's a really great thing. It is branded, so if you're an agency helping clients, you could use it for your clients, but it's not, we don't have a white label version of it yet, but I'll show you that. Go through the new sales deck that we're going to be releasing shortly. We have a few blog updates. We had a webinar on Tuesday that went really well. I had a lot of fun, and we have one other one coming up this next month. And go through the big rich review snippet. That was the Google update that happened over the past 2 weeks and how that impacts our customers. We have our Google Tag Manager reminder, which is a feature that we have that's available for our agency customers. It's still in beta, but if people want to try it out, they are more than welcome to reach out to us to give it a go. I did a webinar about that a few months ago. There's a lot of cool capabilities there. And then we are going to just a reminder about the Zapier integration. So as people trickle in, welcome everybody. I hope you're having a good week. Happy Thursday. I see Ann and Bobby and Charles and Megan and Michael and Boris is in here. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I want to show you is our listings monitoring updates that we've made since the last office hours at the end of August. Now, what you can do is we've added a few more sites. So we've added Foursquare, we've added the Better Business Bureau, we've added Health Grades, we've added Judy's Book and Avo. And for those of you who aren't familiar, our listings monitoring basically allows you to put in your business name, your street address, your postal code, and your phone number, and then it will check to see if your NAP, basically your name, address, phone number, is consistent across the important review and directory sites and citation sites that you need to make sure are, because that impacts your search rankings. So, it'll check, it'll go through each of those, and if it isn't correct, it'll give a little, like red highlight to show where you need to go in and change it. This is monitoring, so you would still go and manually make the update. It gives you a lot more control over your listings. But this feature, we're continually adding new sites to make sure that you stay on top of your directories and your citations. A second component of this that we think you'll find really useful is now coming out in the next week or so, maybe the end of this week, we now have a listings change notification that you can sign up for. And so this would basically, when you check this box that you'll see in the listings monitoring section soon, anyone who signed up to receive notifications for that specific account would receive this white labeled email that gives you a notification saying that something might have changed on a specific listing, and it brings it to your attention. So as you can see from the screenshot here, we have the name change from the Foothills Oral Surgery to Foothills Dental Surgery, locality change from Conover to Seattle. And so now those changes have happened on a monthly basis, so you can go in and fix them if you need to. So everyone got that? Any questions about listings monitoring? Y'all can see my screen, see this example of the email in there. Just write in the chat and let me know. That way I can make sure that we are all set up and this information is very clear. You can't see my screen? Okay, let me make sure that this is turned on. Okay, how about now? Can you see my screen, Bobby? I want to make sure that you can see it. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay. I was going to go through this whole webinar, folks, and I wasn't even going to know if you were able to see everything. So let me go back real quick. Basically, we added Foursquare, Better Business Bureau, Health Grades, Judy's book, and Avo. You can see that if you go to your Grade Us account and you see the listings option on the left-hand side. And so you, thank you for letting me know. I'm glad I asked. Now you can see whether or not these have been updated, the name, the address, the postal code. And so now, coming up in the next week, you'll see a new feature where you can sign up for the monthly listings change, where you'll get an email notification on a monthly basis if any of those key directory components have changed. And so anyone who signed up to receive notifications for that specific account, for that seat, will receive these email notifications to let you know. And if anything else comes up like that, folks, we got a smaller crowd today, so feel free to, jump in with some questions. Okay, so we have a brand new support onboarding video that our two of our new support training members, Rochelle and Tomo, have been working hard on. Really excited for you guys to check that out. Basically now you can go in. We're going to get it on the main support page, but for the time being, you can find the direct link here, which is the support.gradeus, articles, and then you're going to want to put in this article number at the end, the 360034331971. When I upload this webinar to YouTube and I send out the newsletter next week, I will include that link in there so you can easily access it. But this is really cool what they did. So you can jump through this video. It goes through the most updated version of the Grade Us platform. We're long overdue for this. So we at the team are all super excited to have this available. And you can see, you can actually click on the left-hand side, the different part of the video. So you can just focus in on a specific session. That'll be really helpful whether you're just getting started, you need a refresher of the Grade Us platform, or if you have a client that you haven't necessarily white labeled the dashboard for and they give them access, you can walk them through and get them to this video here. We do not have a white label version of this, but this in itself is super useful. And you can always do a screen share, I guess, or sorry, screen capture and just not capture the top part where it says Grade Us. But you guys can get creative. And if there's enough demand for it, maybe we can look into how we can do this in a white label capacity. So one thing, Boris, who's in here, Boris is one of our business development reps and lead sales guys, and him and I have been working really hard along with our new graphic designer, Brandon, on a brand new sales deck for our resellers. We are currently working on 2 versions of the deck. One is going to be more simple for, your clients who really aren't familiar with online review management, digital space at all. Basically, this will allow you to sell it to those folks and really highlight the value proposition. And then we're going to have a longer one that kind of gets into, for the SEO specialists, kind of gets into the digital value of online reviews and a little more of a deep dive into how the Grade Us platform works. And so basically, we have these different slides. They're going to talk about like the timeline of an online review journey, like what is an online review, some more statistics of why online reviews matter to your customers, and it will be white labeled without any Grade Us branding on there. So you can present this if you're a reseller and be able to sell this to prospects without having to worry about, Grade Us appearing somewhere. Bobby, I will totally tackle any specific questions about it, about the platform at the end. And if it's something that's account specific, I might direct you to support, but I'll do my best. Okay, Boris, I can't do that on the spot. Should have set that up ahead of time. Okay, so next up, we have the Grade Us blog updates. So always please pay attention to our blog. We work hard to make sure that we're providing content that's really helpful to you. We continue with some more industry deep dives recently. We did a whole blog post about the wedding industry. We did one all about the automotive industry. Coming up next week, we have one about SaaS and software providers, reviews for them, as well as in a couple weeks, we have an elder care one that really focuses on, the review sites. If you're like an elder care provider or you're helping elder care clients, where you want to get reviews, how to get reviews, how you want to monitor reviews, market those reviews, the value for that specific industry. And we started a new series, which I find really interesting, just in the sense of, the way that people read reviews and what they're looking for. And we're going to do this from an industry perspective. So the idea is that, someone who's looking for a hotel, what they actually look for in the, a hotel review, and how they ultimately like choose that hotel. So we asked some real life people to see what they were looking for, to give you some insights into, what are these folks, what matters to them. And it's interesting from these posts, these articles that we're writing, I find that some of it has to like stuff that's in your control. Obviously, like for a hotel, it's like hygiene. There was a big issue with bed bugs recently in some certain hotels. I'm not going to name any names, but obviously hygiene or customer service you have control over. Whereas in the hospitality industry, the proximity to an attraction is something that's completely out of your control. Like you set up your location at one point, and now you can't necessarily impact that. So it's interesting to get a sense of what people look for and how you can control what you can control, and where you can give advice where you can't. Two other posts that we think would be really interesting for you all to check out is online review incentives. We'd written that. I actually wrote it like 3 years ago. So it was way overdue for an update. So we went back to a lot of the main sites like Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, to see what their actual policies are on whether or not it's okay to incentivize reviews. Ultimately with Grade Us, we always recommend following the policies of the different review sites, because you're playing in their sandbox, and you don't want to, lose your reviews or have your business, get removed or get a penalty because you're not following their guidelines. One interesting thing that's interesting in the SaaS and software industry, sites like Capterra and G2 Crowd actually help businesses incentivize reviews. So, they will acknowledge the source of the review, like say, this person received a nominal gift for leaving the review. So you can know transparently that, someone was paid, but that's all baked into their system, so they approve. Whereas, obviously with Yelp, you can't really even ask for reviews, and on Google, you definitely cannot incentivize reviews, and there could potentially be penalties about that. Also, if you want to hear an expert's opinion on it, in the past, we did a webinar with Phil Rozek, and he talked a lot about whether or not that was okay. Another one we had is how to onboard clients for review management and marketing. There's a great little spreadsheet that you can download to collect, just information about your prospects or clients as you're bringing them on. Just captures a lot of that really interesting and important info depending on their industry or just the basics. Highly recommend you have a process in place. One of the other interesting things about that article is it asked a couple of people who do sell review management agencies how they actually onboard their clients. And so there's some great insights there. Okay, so fighting fake reviews. We had a really fun webinar on Tuesday. We had 3 panelists: Jason Brown, who is the owner of reviewfraud.org, Ben Fisher of Steady Demand, who provides a ton of services for businesses and agencies on Google My Business kind of management. And his big focus is responding to reviews. And then we had Andy Drinkwater of IQ SEO, who's a really great reputation management and brand protector consultant. And so in the fake reviews webinar, we touch base on a whole variety of questions that come up when it comes to fake reviews, tactics and strategies on how to fight them, how to handle them. I'm currently actually working on the video for that. So my goal is to have it up on YouTube by the end of the week. So you all can watch it if you missed it, but we'll also include it in the blog newsletter. Three really interesting takeaways that I came away from the webinar is one, especially for Google reviews, if you receive a fake negative review or you have a competitor that is obviously buying fake reviews, the best way to get those removed is via documentation. So, the whole idea of being a detective and then kind of being a lawyer, you need to collect all this documented evidence to submit to Google. And specifically in terms of collecting that evidence, it doesn't have to come from Google. So one of their examples that was really interesting was this whole idea of someone gave away that they were doing this whole negative fake review attack on a Facebook live post. And so what Jason explained is he actually got a link to that Facebook live post and used that link, even though it was from Facebook, submitted it to Google, and that was enough evidence to have a fake review removed. So, I thought that was a really helpful strategy that a lot of people, because you feel helpless a lot of times when it comes to, having a negative fake review come at your profile or at your business, and it does have an impact. So I found that to be interesting. Second takeaway was from Ben, specifically about he had this take the pirate approach, and this was for responding to reviews, whether they're real or fake, but specifically with negative reviews, and it's our accept the situation, acknowledge the issue, reply to the review, and then resolve it. So that's a really nice framework for basically responding to all reviews, even if they are fake, because one of the things that comes up constantly with responding to reviews is naturally, if it's a real upset customer, you want to help them out. That's good business. You want to resolve their issue. You want to take a look at your own business and see how you can improve it based on their feedback. But even if it's not a real user, or if it is, your response, other people are watching. So when someone else is going to your business profile and they're kind of evaluating your business, they want to see how you treat other customers. Nobody wants a negative situation to happen to them when they decide to go with the business, but it does happen. And so they're looking at your responses or the owner responses to see what might happen if they do find themselves in that situation. And then the last really big epiphany for me that Jason mentioned is that we always talk about on Grade Us that you're not allowed to ask for reviews on Yelp. Yelp is very strict about their policy that you just are not allowed to ask. It breaks their terms and conditions. They always say, you can say find us on Yelp or have a sticker on at your actual storefront, but you can't say, hey, leave us a review on Yelp. What Jason pointed out is, and he actually asked a Yelp representative, that you are allowed to ask customers to leave a photo on your Yelp profile. And so this is kind of this, not a workaround, because you're not actually asking for a review, and there is a way to leave a photo without leaving a review, but a lot of times when customers leave a photo, they're leaving a review as well, and a photo has a lot of value as social proof. So one huge takeaway just in general from this Fighting Fake Reviews webinar was this whole idea that you can ask your customers to leave a photo on Yelp. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'll have that video up there, either end of the day tomorrow, first thing on Monday, and I will include the link on our newsletter. And then you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's where all of these videos are being uploaded. So the next topic that is really important to address is this announcement that Google made a couple weeks ago and has been rolling out slowly, which is basically that they have changed their guidelines around rich review snippets. And the rich review snippets, for those of you who aren't familiar, is basically the way that you're allowed to write local schema, write the code around your reviews and mark them up so you can get these star ratings to appear when someone searches for your business on Google. So for instance, if you have a review page and you have all of your reviews, whether they're first party or third party reviews, marked up with this local review schema, you would potentially, not guaranteed, it was up to Google, that they would add these stars to your search results. And a lot of business owners and agencies and just customers loved having this on their search results. So what happened? Google updated their rules around the review snippets. There are still websites that get these review snippets. So unfairly or not, sites like Yelp, the third-party review sites, TripAdvisor, you will still see on your listing the stars show up on, like your Yelp profile if you see it in Google search. You can also see it on like some product reviews or like recipes, but the change they made that impacts us and impacts Grade Us and impacts you is this idea of the self-serving review. And so this was pulled from a search engine land, but it comes directly from Google, is that Google said, in addition to some of their other changes, that self-serving reviews aren't allowed. So reviews that can be perceived as self-serving aren't in the best interest of users. We call reviews self-serving when a review about entity A is placed on the website of entity A, either directly in their markup or via an embedded third-party widget. So what that means is, if you're either doing it yourself and writing up the schema on your own website and you're writing up these reviews and the reviews are about your business, you are not going to see the star ratings appear in the SERPs like this example above. I've anecdotally seen a ton of Grade Us customers that use our WordPress plugin with the schema-friendly markup, and we have not seen those stars disappear yet. And I've seen from other local SEO experts that a ton of people still have not seen their stars disappear. However, this is something we're aware of. This is something that is happening. That said, we have a couple of suggestions if you still want to get stars in your search results, and a couple reasons that reviews are obviously still really important to have on your website and to continue to, try to generate and grow your portfolio. So I've seen a couple of these ideas around, and they're not ideal solutions, but I think they're actually really cool. One idea is you can actually put star emojis in both your URL and in the title, the meta title of your website pages. So for instance, if you had on your website a page dedicated to your reviews, what you could do in the meta title is write 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever your aggregate rating is, and you can include that. And so when you go, this is an actual example that you're seeing up here of a search result with emojis in the search. It does actually appear. So you could, if you want to get that attention and kind of still have a certain type of star, even though it's not like official from your actual reviews, not like the ratings we're seeing down here, you can do that on your site. My only recommendation would be try your best to represent your actual review rating correctly. And in that case, you would probably want to update it monthly if you do see a fluctuation in your results. I know for most of us, because we have such great businesses and we get 4 and 5 stars, you wouldn't have to update it all the time. But that is one thing to do. The second option would be to include the star emojis in the actual URL, which is crazy that this is available. I probably don't recommend that one as much. And the reason why is because you really wouldn't want to update the URLs frequently, because every time you update the URL, you would want to set up a redirection for that page on your website, because if you don't, the old URL would go to an old 404 page, and that is not a great user experience, and that would actually have a negative impact on your search ranking. So probably less likely of a recommendation, but the top one I highly recommend. You can even write in the title tag, what your aggregate rating is, how many reviews you have, and that would show up right in your search results, especially if you have a testimonials or a review page. Additionally, I think anyone here who's a customer understands the value of reviews. Whether it's getting reviews on the various third-party sites, those still are going to appear. Those are still going to impact your search results and your ratings. And then having testimonials on your own website still has value as a form of social proof. When people visit your website and they recognize someone or they see an actual user writing the review, they care about what other people say. And one of the good things you can do with those, especially with the Grade Us plugin, is it has the link to the actual review on the third-party review site. So they can still see that it's a legitimate review that was vetted third-party and not just something that you collect directly that you might have an impact over. Although we find that, having your own testimonial reviews still have a ton of value, because that's also an opportunity for people to write a lot more, especially when you're building that personal relationship. So there are a ton of value for still collecting your first party or third party reviews, even if you're not seeing the star rich review snippets come up on Google. So this is a reminder, we've had a lot more attendance in our various webinars and office hours thus far. So I wanted to bring this up again, which is a beta feature for Grade Us. And it's not something that we've done a huge amount of promotion. It's very much for agencies and up, or larger enterprises, and it requires a little more advanced knowledge, but it's for Google Tag Manager. And Google Tag Manager basically allows you to do some really interesting things on your review funnel. Most of you might already use it on your website for a variety of different features. And so here are a couple of use cases of how you could use it with Grade Us. There is a full blog post about it, as well as a webinar in which I went through each of these and how to set it up and how to take advantage of this. But the idea would be to, you could either do a Google Optimize experiment where you can A/B test your review funnel with different functionality to see what works the best, what might get people to click on the 5 stars, and actually go that further down the funnel to go to the third-party review site. Second use case would be heat maps with Hotjar. We do have customers who do a lot of their own CSS and HTML on the older versions of the review funnel. And so you'd be able to use a Hotjar heat map to see, whether or not that's effective, or if people are clicking away because of, certain elements that you might have on your review funnel. One really interesting thing that our digital ad specialist, Yuri, taught me about was using a Facebook pixel and actually using your review funnel for retargeting and lookalike audiences. So the idea here would be using Google Tag Manager. You would install the Facebook pixel on your review funnel landing page, and that would allow you to collect Facebook data for people who visit the landing page and then retarget them with ads. So if it's like a 5-star rating, what you could actually do is retarget them with positive ads saying, we had a great experience on our site, or, simplify it with the ad obviously, but like come back and buy more in essence. Whereas you could do something really interesting with someone who maybe had a negative experience on your site and retarget them to kind of win them back with an ad. The other thing is lookalike audiences. So you can kind of use the Facebook pixel to identify, who's coming to your review funnel, and create a lookalike audience with similar demographics in Facebook to then run a Facebook ad campaign of your happy, people who are like your happy customers. So if you're a large business and you have a ton of people who are coming to the review funnel, and you're able to identify based on a specific event who's clicking 5 stars, you create the Facebook lookalike audience and then create advertisements to basically who your best customers are and try to attract them to your product or your service. So that's a really cool use case in my opinion. For B2B businesses, what you could actually do is use the LinkedIn Insight tag. It could work for B2C as well, but basically the idea there is pull in LinkedIn demographics from people who are using your review funnel. So you can get a lot of market research and interesting insights there into your audience and your customers who are already going to the review funnel site. And then last use case, which is really interesting, is the add a chat bot to your review funnel. So if you did want to add that extra customer service touch point through Google Tag Manager, you would be able to do that. It's in beta. So basically what you would want to do is just email support@grade.us and say that you are interested in trying out the Google Tag Manager beta feature. And you just a reminder, you would need to be on the agency or partner plan in order to be able to get that beta access. And finally, Zapier integration. We mentioned it at the office hours last month, but we do have our Zapier integration, which will allow you to automate a couple of review Grade Us capabilities. So if you have a Zapier account, Zapier allows you to create these recipes that let different apps talk to each other. So one of the most obvious use cases for our current setup is that, say you have an email campaign or an email service provider that when you have a new customer and they just finished using your service, you could then have them, when they're added to your email list, automatically send out an email drip campaign via Grade Us. And so Zapier would take that whole communication together. And so whether you're using like MailChimp or Constant Contact, if you're already using the email service provider, Zapier allows you to have that service provider talk to Grade Us and automate that process, so you don't have to manually, upload customers one by one or use a spreadsheet. And if you're not using the API already, this is invite only, so you wouldn't be able to find us on Zapier. However, we have a Google form that you can basically send request an invitation. It is for the agency plan or hire as well. We would set you up with the invite, and then you could start doing that and creating some really cool recipes using Zapier and Grade Us. And we have even talked about adding more capabilities to our Zapier integration. So went through a bunch of stuff, was a little shorter this time compared to last time. At this point, if we do have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this point and try my best to answer them. If not, happy to put you in touch with support and they can reach out afterwards. I do have a question from Bobby, who is asking about on the review funnel. One of the clients' funnel is going straight to Google without allowing the reviewer to choose from the other review sites. Did something change in the last 2 weeks, or is there something that I may have unchecked? My guess is, Bobby, that it's probably something that may have been unchecked. I don't know of anything specifically that would have triggered it on top of you, for you. But if you haven't seen that resolved, I would check in just your settings, see if you can get it set back up. And if you're still running into that issue, definitely email support@grade.us. We would be happy to help you out. So that's about it. If nobody else has any other questions, thank you all for your time. Really excited to continue to do these office hours, make them available, give you updates about what's going on at Grade Us, hopefully eventually do more behind the scenes sort of stuff, let you know about our marketing materials, new features, and just continue to talk about the industry and what's going on. We have a fun webinar that's coming up at the end of October. Keep your eyes peeled for it in the newsletter. We are going to do a Halloween horror-themed webinar with Greg Gifford and Claire Carlisle that talks about the fear around asking for reviews. They're both local SEO and local search experts, so they're going to have a bunch of tips around, taking away that fear. Why is it so scary to ask our customers for reviews? How you can avoid that fear? What are some best practices? Really excited about that. Definitely sign up for that, that webinar. I think it'll be great. Bobby, thanks for the feedback. I'm glad that you're enjoying the office hours. We will continue to have them. You guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks again, and thank you from Grade Us for being customers. We really do appreciate you. Bye-bye.
So I thought I needed. So I thought I needed.